Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to puff him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Start with it. Both Noah and I said the Celtics are better than last year's team. One of the reasons we said this is because Brown said it one time, and it was an interesting kind of, Jalen said it after a game, and it created a talking point, and we kicked it around on the show. And I know at least Noah and I had said, I do think so. We do think so. I'm not sure where everyone else was on it, but we absolutely said it, and we'll own it. I still don't know that it's wrong. I still don't know.
I thought they were.
Come on. They lost in the second round.
I thought they were, but I'm saying before, obviously, hindsight is 2020, but without hindsight, I thought they were better.
I'm not an excuse maker. I think it was all injuries. Like, we will never get
all injuries.
Yes, we will never get a full account of what this Celtics team actually was, because you're playing with Brown at 50% and Porzingis at 10%. It's impossible to know what full health, how much that would have changed. Everything we think that they were bad at or did wrong might have completely disappeared. So they might have steamrolled the Knicks, as you thought they were going to, even with their injuries, and just be sitting here ready to play in the NBA Finals, and we're all hanging out in OKC right now, and it's a different story altogether, and we're not having any questions about it. So I don't know that they weren't. I just think their season was derailed in such a grisly way, and now that the offseason outlook is so bleak, we're just looking at it in such a dark way. I still don't know that they weren't better or had the potential to be better because of, Noah, what was the reasoning behind it? Pritchard there were improvements,
stuff
over
you
last
didn't see
year
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think the improvement of a couple of rotation players, it felt like they had more ways to win than they had in the previous season.
Yeah.
I will say, like, Porzingis and how he was playing upon his return was like part of that. Like, he looked really good. And then obviously he was just nothing comparable to who he was during the season. But just as I reflect on this, I actually don't think they were better than last year's team, even without the injuries. One, because that losing stretch where they were losing, like, they were like a 500 team for whatever it was,
January.
like 7 weeks. Yeah, that stretch, like, I do think that I pushed through it, and like they pushed through it, and they got out of it, and they played a lot better later on. But there were some shades of what we saw in the playoffs that were reminiscent of that stretch. So, like, in hindsight, I don't think I chalk it up to, like, they just struggled for a few weeks and it meant absolutely nothing, the way that I felt like in April before the playoffs began. So yeah, I think that they were not a better team as last year, even though, like, I found ways to view it that way because of the individual growth of specific players and their versatility in the double big lineup. Like, it just felt like they had more leeway.
I acknowledged all that stuff when you guys were saying it, and I think it was valid. Those as potential reasons you could have thought they were better, but then to just not see it in the playoffs, I'm still baffled by that. They didn't tap into that stuff they built during the regular season in the playoffs. They got tight, over-reliant on the stars, and then the injury struck, as John said. So I think they put themselves in some bad positions, and then the injuries exacerbated it. Again, a lot of the...
I just give it an incomplete. They might not have been better. It's really hard to say. It's really hard to say, because that habits might have crept in simply because they were... They
what about the fact that when they were healthy, John, you already know what the offensive rating was with the starters in there. So there were some signs that they were not clicking the way they were supposed to. So I don't know.
Defensive lapses.
I have no idea what I said on the show. It sounds like I didn't make a bold prediction on it or a take, but I'm with Noah on this. I think it was that stretch in January where I said, like, I don't like what I see right now. And, like, this just kind of tells me that this team is not where they were last year.
And, this stuff does work this way, right? Like, it might have been true that they were better and it just didn't work out in the end. Like, that does happen in this league in sports, but you do have to go off the results sometimes. And this fell well short of what we thought it might have been, which was even more dominant than last year. But you knew it was going to be harder, the path. And listen, there's an injury side to it and there's a disappointment side to it. And I think I weigh those equally.
And I will say the one thing I've been thinking a lot about this offseason is that when you look at the 2024 run, they never faced a team that had really good wing defenders. You look at the Pacers and the way that Tatum and Brown put up crazy numbers against that team. Like the Pacers were not equipped to guard the Celtics. That's that playoff run. The Mavs were not equipped to guard Tatum and Brown. Like,
Even.
Cleveland. And so part of it is like I'm not doing the whole like they had an easy run, because it's not that it was easy or guys were injured, but they had favorable matchups when you think about what they needed as far as Tatum and Brown to not fall into that like, okay, that they're switching. What are we going to do? Like that same thing that has transpired so many times in the postseason. This year they faced the Magic that had great, they had very much the ability to defend that, and then the Knicks, who played really good defense for the most part of that series and had guys that they acquired specifically for that. So it's hard to also compare the playoff runs, because I do think those matchups were a lot more favorable to Boston than this year's, and they still should have beat the Knicks. Like, no, I'm not making any excuses for them. But it is like apples to oranges a little bit.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way.
Yeah.
Slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke